Just a disclaimer before this video starts that all the audio was created by an AI text-to-voice speech, which allowed me to recreate a podcast between Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, which I thought would be really interesting. But rest assured, all of the content was written and developed by me. So enjoy.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Welcome back to the Joe Rogan Experience. Today we have a very special guest, the man who needs no introduction, the tech mogul, the meme master, the one and only Elon Musk. Last time Elon was here, we had a wild ride talking about everything from A to flamethrowers, and even shared a controversial moment with a little bit of weed. But today we're tackling a more serious topic, the ethics of immortality. With advances in science and technology, the possibility of extending human life indefinitely is becoming less of a fantasy and more of a reality. But what are the ethical implications of such a feat? Join us as we dive deep into this fascinating and thought-provoking topic with Elon Musk.
Thanks, Joe. Really happy to be here.
Hey, Elon, have you heard the quote by Friedrich Nietzsche about immortality? One has to pay dearly for immortality. One has to die several times while still alive. What do you think that means?
Well, Joe, I think Nietzsche was suggesting that the process of achieving immortality would require sacrifices and changes. Over an infinite amount of time, you could assume that they would change infinitely, and that raises questions about whether you're still you.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, if you look at the elderly today, they find it hard to adapt to change or learn new things. So it would make sense that they might even not change at a certain point.
Well, exactly, Joe, yeah, but there's another way things could be interpreted, possibly looking back at that reference to Friedrich Nietzsche. One has to die several times while still alive, meaning essentially that people would change infinitely over an infinite amount of time, and that mean they are a different person, or really don't quite possibly.
I think then this makes it even more important to set policies. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, quite definitely, Joe. I think it's important to start with preventing anyone who has a routine from undergoing the procedure for obvious reasons. When it comes to prisoners, things get more complicated. Should they have the right to become immortal? And if so, what do we do with them? Do we release them back into society or keep them under life sentences?
Well, that's a tough one. And I don't think there's ever going to be a clear-cut answer because it is such a complicated issue. I think there's going to have to be some sort of mid-ground. But what about the issue of overpopulation as well?
That's a valid concern, Joe. Many nations are already facing overpopulation. Sadly, each country would have to have their own laws. No matter how to decide who in their society would be allowed to become mortal, or perhaps implement a rotation-based system. Countries that are already facing overpopulation would have to heavily restrict the number of people undergoing the procedure. While others like Australia, with low population density, would have the luxury of being a bit more relaxed. But there's also an alternative perspective. Joe, I've always wondered if we as a species will ever reach the Earth's carrying capacity for people. When you look back through history, it seems like there may not be a limit to the number of people that the Earth can sustain. For example, in 1600, 90 of the population had to be farmers due to inefficient practices. But within just 100 years, the number of farmers dropped to 70. And now, in 2023, less than 20 of the population are farmers. This is because the resources become less available. Human ingenuity has always led to increases in efficiency to support the growing population.
Interesting perspective, Elon. It's definitely a complex topic that requires a lot of thought and discussion before we even consider implementing it